Hi, welcome back to part 5 of this 12-part series on how to land that high-paying job. My name is Jennifer Butterfield, your host, and this is the Trial by Jennifer YouTube channel. And today I'm going to be talking about harnessing the power of networking. And this is another one of my favorite topics. And prior to this episode, we covered leveraging character references, and I really enjoyed making that video. And so if you haven't had the opportunity to check it out yet, or any of the previous videos in this series, be sure to take a minute and go tune in. But today I love this topic mainly because I am an extrovert, and so networking has always been one of my primary skill sets. I grew up in a home where my mom was always negotiating real estate contracts from down the hall, and so I heard a lot of her communication, and I think developed that over time. And so I've always been a very outgoing and extroverted person, and networking is definitely one of the skills that I have continued to harness myself over the many years that I've been verbal. So a few things that I think are really important to cover in this video. I've got a practical tip as well as just some exercises to try. I can't recommend enough going to different meetups or seeing what kind of communities are in your area regarding certain types of industries. Like, meetup.com is here in Austin, and I know that there are similar websites and social media platforms where there are a wealth of different resources for people to get connected in different industries. And so if you're looking to get into the tech sales industry, you can go for tech sales meetups, or if you're looking to meet professionals in the medical field because you're in medical school. Joining a professional organization is one of the best ways to get connected to other professionals in a particular industry. And so that could be kind of nerve-wracking, going into a completely new setting, especially when it's career-oriented, of peers, colleagues, and maybe mentor level experts, a certain field that you're wanting to get more plugged into. And so I like to think of this as an opportunity to focus not on myself and my anxiousness or my fear or what have you, but to focus on getting to know the other person. And so I will oftentimes seek out a person who is standing by themselves. Maybe that looks uncomfortable. And I'll go up and I'll introduce myself. And instead of saying, wow, man, feels kind of nervous. I'm kind of nervous, and instead of going into the way that I'm feeling, I will ask them, hey, so where are you from? What brings you here tonight? And I'll keep asking the next question. So this is my first step when harnessing the power of networking, is just keep asking the next question. Not only is this a very useful skill in active listening, and it can oftentimes bring a conversation to a level of depth and connection that otherwise wouldn't have been able to permeate, but I will say that people feel heard, and it really brings a lot of value to a connection. And I've had people tell me over the years that they remembered my kindness and warmth entering a room, and I was feeling terrified because I didn't know anybody at the event, And so I can't stress it enough to stay focused on the other person, get to know them, right? Ask them about who they are, where they came from, do they have brothers and sisters? How long have they been in this town or this city? Is their family here? Oh, where they meet their wife or husband, And so keep asking the next question. And it's okay to get a little personal, maybe not too personal, but because it is a professional organization or an industry-focused organization, you can ask them questions about their career. So how'd you get to where you are today? Or what position do you hold? Or what do you do? Or, if you went to college, what college did you go to? What'd you study? So these are all really great questions to ask, and it doesn't hurt to prepare ahead of time of what questions would be really helpful for me to ask going into this particular event or situation. So that is one tip that I have for harnessing the power of network is always asking the next question and attending different industry level meetups. A second element of networking was an exercise that a mentor of mine in a university scholarship program taught me about. And she was given this advice, and it was a commercial real estate organization here in Austin, Texas. And each university participant was matched with a mentor. And my mentor was senior level executive at a large corporate commercial real estate development company. And so I got to go downtown, go all the way up to like the 20th floor of this really cool building. And we sat down in the boardroom, and one of the things that she mentioned in terms of networking and getting to know different people who might be able to help me find a job, right, is going down my contact list, my professional contact list, whether it's on LinkedIn or my email or phone book, and going from A to Z and asking each person if they have time for coffee or a phone call to catch up. And I loved this idea. And one of the reasons why I loved this idea is because she told me her results were really positive with it. Like, I had asked her, so how did you get the job that you have now? And her response was, this woman who I really respected gave me this suggestion to go down my phone book and ask each person from A to Z out to coffee. And she said by the time she wasn't even at her C's in her phone book, by the time she was offered the position that she currently has, and she'd been there 7 years. And I thought that was remarkable, and I cannot recommend it enough. I have found the majority of my positions that I have worked in the corporate world through other people. And they've been friends of mine who know me, they support me, and it's not working directly for them, but they know someone who is hiring that is a professional and is looking for someone like me. And I can't recommend leveraging this enough. And it's also a great experience just to get comfortable with catching up with people and reinvigorating connections from the past, and maybe staying on top, following up with people in a way that maybe we wouldn't otherwise have before. So that's number 2. Great exercise, going through the phone book A to Z and asking each person if they have time for a catch-up phone call or lunch or coffee, whatever, and seeing how that person's doing and just asking them what's been new in their lives. And eventually the conversation will come back around to me and what I've been doing in my life. And, I can tell them all the great things that have been going on in my life, including how I'm in the market for a new job. So the last thing that I want to cover for this video is the importance of nonverbal communication. And so they say like 90% of our communication is actually nonverbal. And what does that mean? It means that our body language actually does a lot more talking for us than our verbal language does. And so, I think that a lot of people have the ability to sense when another person might be feeling uncomfortable or scared or pissed off or frustrated. And I think that there is so much strength in walking into a room with your shoulders back and looking and feeling your best, and whatever that may be, whatever that may look like. I don't think there's a one size fits all, or we need to conform to today's standards of what beauty or handsomeness looks like, or, the clean cut 3-piece suit professional. I think that what really is something that stands out in my mind is like the ability to maintain eye contact or the firmness of a handshake. And so that's actually one of the things that I want to talk about the most is a handshake, because when we're networking with people and we're in person, I think that we have gotten into a very timid place of not being sure if the other person wants to shake hands because of COVID and a number of other different things. And I think that has got to go. As long as we're washing our hands on a regular basis, extending a hand in the United States for a handshake is super important. And I think it's really important to consider that, like, if you are traveling internationally, there are definitely different cultures that will have different greetings. So it's important that if you are traveling and you're going to a networking event or in a different country or in a cultural setting that you're maybe not familiar with, that there is a keen level of importance to do research on that particular culture's customs and how they greet one another in a professional setting, and looking at the different dynamics in authority versus, you know, what the country that you're currently in looks like. So like in the United States, the power distance is pretty low. So like an employee could talk to a boss and make eye contact with them. Or, you know, it would be appropriate for someone to shake another person's hand that is 2 or 3 rungs above my position on the corporate ladder or beneath, either one. However, like in places like Japan, it's not appropriate to look another person in the eye if they are as superior to you. In fact, you should look at the floor right beneath them. So like right around where their feet are. And these are important things to keep in mind. Now, when we are in the United States or another country where the power distance may be pretty low, pretty small, and perhaps the custom is a handshake, right? I think most European countries have a similar handshake or an embrace with a kiss on the cheek. You're gonna wanna bring the web of your finger to the other person's finger. They say customary is the right hand to handshake. And you wanna keep your fingers together and grab the other person's hand firmly and then shake once or twice and then let go. And this is a great way to show respect for someone and introduce yourself. You can say, hi, my name is Jennifer. It's so nice to meet you. And extend your hand for a firm handshake and make eye contact while you do. One of the ways that I think it's really important to approach anytime you're getting introduced to a group of people is to introduce yourself to each of those people that you've never met before. And a lot of times they may make a comment or something, but one thing that I always keep in mind is that I will make a point to introduce myself to every single person that I don't know in a social circle before engaging in a conversation, because a lot of times people's attention will be focused on the person who is new entering into the circle. And if I got engaged in a conversation with somebody that I just shook hands with, but there were 3 people that I didn't know, those people are likely waiting on me to introduce myself. And if that opportunity is missed, they may lose interest or feel like that was kind of rude and walk away, or just be standing there. And that's a little bit uncomfortable. Another thing is if I'm bringing a partner or an associate or maybe my significant other to a networking event, or maybe even a friend, I am really mindful to take the time to introduce my friend first. So I would greet the person. I would say, hi, it's so nice to see you. My name's Jennifer, and this is my friend, Greg. I would take the time to introduce Greg to each and every person. I'll say, hi, I don't know you yet, but my name's Jennifer. What's your name? And then they'd say, oh, hi, I'm Steve. And I'm like, great, Steve, it's so nice to meet you. This is my friend Greg. And so keeping these things in mind, this is just social etiquette, I would say, but it's really important. And I would say that it helps people feel comfortable, and it also helps people feel a part of. If you don't remember someone's name. So this is one of my favorites, because a lot of times I think the more time we see someone, the more times that we see somebody throughout the course of our lives and we don't have a memory of what their name is, it can oftentimes lead to this. We arrive in this place where it's like the third or fourth time that we've seen this person, but we have no recollection of what their name is. And as a result, we have this familiarity with that person, but we don't remember their name. So one thing I like to do to prevent this is when I'm introducing myself, I will say their name after they say it to me. So I would say, "Oh, hi, Steve. It's so nice to meet you." And that way I have this like muscle memory of Steve's name, and I have this image of his face. And I do that as many times as I need to. And sometimes I will fall short of that and I'll say, "You know what? Would you remind me of your name?" Another thing that I could do is I could introduce my friend and say, "This is Greg. Greg, this is Janie's husband." And Greg can introduce himself and say, "Hi, I'm Greg. What's your name?" So there are a couple ways around this, but I cannot reinforce the importance enough of repeating the person's name when you shake their hand. And a lot of times that will help the memory get jogged next time you see them so that you remember their name. Okay, so I think that's probably about all I have for harnessing the power of networking. I'm sure there are a lot more different cues and elements of this that we could go into, but for landing that high-paying job, I think we covered the foundation and the basics. And please be sure to join me next week for episode 6 of this 12-part YouTube series on how to land that high-paying job. I'm going to be talking about how to automate cover letters utilizing AI. So I will look forward to seeing you all then, and thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please, if you found this video to be helpful, do so by clicking the subscribe button below.